Happy Monday, my Merry Makers, and welcome to a Merry Making Monday. Before we get into today's tutorial, I just wanted to show off something really quick, and that's this Phoenix blanket. I just finished the part 2 of the compendium, which it still feels funny to say compendium, the pattern. It's sanctioned off to 11 parts, and my brain doesn't like that math, so instead of saying 2/11ths, I'm saying 1/5. I'm 1/5 of the way done. So I'm thinking that when I finish compendiums or parts of compendiums is when I'm going to update on that. That way I'm not updating every single row. This is approximately now 15 inches, maybe a little bit more. And since the finished project is going to be about 5 feet, still got a ways to go. Anyway, let's get in today's tutorial, shall we? Alright, so some of us are really well versed in reading these labels, but what if you're a beginner? How do you know what these things mean? So I thought it'd be interesting to see if we could start a new project just based on the information that you find on the label. Now today's yarn is going to be Red Heart. As you can see, what's in my hand. This particular color is called Polo Stripe. And this is the label we're going to be looking off of to try to start a new project. So, couple things that I see on this, which I really like, is the name of pattern. Now, I know these are knitting needles, but I've been knitting and crocheting for a really long time. So that might have to be explained to some beginner. And it says 6mm or US size 10, because, you know, some people they don't like the millimeters. All right. Okay, there we go. And then if you scroll, if you look further down, it tells you that you need one ball of Polo Stripe, and then it has that name again in some different languages. And just in case you don't speak any of those languages, it has a number associated with the color. And then it says you also need one ball of black, also a number associated with those. So this is a lot of information. It's actually enough information to start this project. So let's start this project. So the first thing it says is that I need is my knitting needles size 10 or 6mm. So that's what I've got prepared here. And then, so let's see if there's any indication. Here it goes. Pattern on back. So yes, I mean, I knew that, but again, I'm trying to look at this through the eyes of somebody who knows nothing about knitting, knows nothing about crochet, because I know as a person who has experience where it is, and I also know that when people ask me, hey, what is a good yarn for a beginner? I will say an acrylic like Red Heart or a cotton. All right, so let's see. All right, so it's called Brighten My Day, and that was relatively easy to unwrap like that. And again, it tells you what materials you need. Let's see. The wrap measures 18 inches wide, 70 inches long. Gauge is 14 stitches to 4 inches or 10 centimeters. It does say check your gauge. Use any size needle to obtain gauge. Okay, so it has this bar with no indication what this bar means. Um, let's see, it says wrap is worked in garter stitch, and then in brackets it says knit every row. Carry A and B without cutting between stripes. And then, so does it say which one is A and in which one is B? It doesn't. That's interesting. So I guess you can start with either color. That's what I would assume. And if I do have any beginners out there, start with the color. Don't start with the black. Black is kind of hard to work with or start with, in my opinion. It does say knit 2 together, and that it's a decrease, knit front back, and it's an increase. So, just reading through this, if you have some basic knowledge of knitting, you'll be able to knit this. So, let's see. We're only going to do this for a little bit, because I'm sure you don't want to watch me knit for like an hour. Because with 70 inches long, it's going to take a while. All right, so I'm going to start with my polo stripe, like I said, and it says cast on 5 stitches. Now, if you are a beginner, you probably use a knitted cast on, so that's the cast on I'm going to use. So again, it doesn't give you very explicit instructions. So if you're a beginner, I would say you would have to look some of this stuff up. Like, okay, it says to cast on. What does that mean? You know, oh, it says to knit 2 together. You know, what does that mean? So, but again, I feel like there's enough information here that a beginner could theoretically start a new project pretty easily. Let's see. So, cast on 5 stitch. Knit a cross row. So just knit, no increases. And then it says change to B. And if you're really good, you know that they mean color B, but also down here it does say that B equals color B, cm equals centimeters. So I really feel like this is actually pretty well written. Like, good on you guys for having, but again, it doesn't say exactly how to change your color. So that might be all right. Change to B. Next rows. With row 1 right side with A knit across. Wait, what? See, this is where it gets, see, even as a person who's, it says to change to B and then it says with A, so that's confusing. So am I just supposed to knit with B? That's not very clear at all. With row A, knit across row to last 2 stitches. Knit front back in next stitch. Knit 1 through 6 stitches. Okay, so even though it says with A, I think they mean with B. So a little bit confusing there. But basically what they're saying is knit every stitch except for the last stitch. And then, oh, so the last 2 stitches. Knit front back. And then knit, which now means you have 6 stitches, and then the next row you knit. So that's not written very well. I think I figured it out because, again, I'm an experienced knitter, or at least an intermediate one. Don't want to toot my own horn too much so that somebody doesn't come at me. Okay, and then let's see. All right. And then let's see. It says change to B. With B, knit 2 rows. Repeat from asterisk, continuing to increase on first row. So yeah, the instructions are a little bit confusing, but basically it's saying that you do the same thing over and over again. That you knit across, if I can, to the last 2 stitches, and then you knit the front and the back of that stitch, and then you knit the last stitch. I think I'm not doing any better job than they did in explaining myself. And then the second time you knit with that color, you're just knitting across. And then it says to do this until when there are 60 stitches begin to decrease on next A stripe. And then you decrease until you have 5 stitches. So you increase until 60 and then you immediately start to decrease. So it's going to create this almost symmetrical crescent type thing, and then it's a wrap. I thought it was a shawl this whole time, but it's a wrap. But you could, you know, as somebody who is experienced, I know that I can easily join the ends and make this an infinity scarf or a cowl. And know that I'm going to end up with something that looks like this. Oh, I got that. Something that looks like this. So, could you start a new project with all the information on this label? I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to say that it needs help. Whoever's writing these instructions, either they're not testing or they're not knitters themselves. And I could see where, as a beginner, you would need some help from a person who has knit before. Am I going to continue working on this? Maybe. Am I eventually going to make this? Absolutely. I think it's gorgeous. But it's not my priority right now, so what I'll probably do is do this and leave this till later, because, like I said, I'm 2/5 of the way done with my cousin's Afghan, and that needs to get done in order for her wedding. So anyway, I hope this helped all of my little merry makers, and I hope you join me Wednesday for Work in Progress. Until then, make on.